Okay, let's get into this. We've got a Google Ads search report here,
Yeah,
and it's basically giving us a before and after, right, for a specific ad push.
exactly. We're looking at April 13th to May 14th this year.
Right, and comparing that to the 33 days just before it, March 12th to April 12th.
And the really interesting part here, I think, is the focus. It's not just general ad spend.
No, it's drilled down.
It's drilled down specifically to the impact of 500 EUR.
Just 500 AUR.
Yeah, put straight into cost per click traffic, CPC.
So like a test run almost. What does this money do for clicks?
Pretty much. What happens when you dedicate that amount just to bringing people in via clicks?
Right. So our kind of mission here for this deep dive is to figure out how that specific spend, that 500 EUR on CPC, how it actually affected user growth.
And not just growth, but engagement too, right?
Exactly. Were the new users actually doing anything useful? And, was it worth it? How cost efficient was that spend?
Yeah, this kind of targeted analysis is gold. You really see the direct ripple effects of one strategic choice.
Okay, so let's jump into the actual results. First thing that kind of pops out. Overall active users. In that main period, April 13th to May 14th, 688 active users.
Which is quite a jump for force.
Yeah, a 42.15% increase compared to the previous 33 days. That's significant.
Yeah.
Makes you ask why straight away.
And the report seems to give us a pretty strong clue. It points to a big rise in new users.
Okay.
Specifically, new users whose first contact, their first medium, was CPC.
So connecting it directly to the paid clicks.
Seems like it. It really suggests that maybe that 500 EUR budget was the main driver behind that overall user bump.
Makes sense. And the number for new users just from CPC.
Get this, 647 new users.
Wow. Okay.
And that itself is a 47.72% increase compared to the previous period, just for that CPC source.
So it really looks like that 500 EUR was definitely pulling its weight and bringing new people through the door, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely making waves. But, the classic question follows.
Are they just clicking and leaving, or are they sticking around?
Exactly. Are they engaging?
Yeah.
Doing things that matter? And that's where we look at key events.
Right, these key events. They're the important actions, yeah. Things we actually want users to do, maybe filling out a form
Or completing a profile, spending a certain amount of time, making a purchase simulation. Depends on the site, really.
Sure. And for the users who came in via CPC, what did the report show for those key events?
So for those CPC-originated users, 23 key events were recorded during that April-May period.
23. And how does that compare?
That's a 43.75% increase compared to the key events from CPC traffic in the previous period.
Okay, so nearly a 44% jump in valuable actions from those paid clicks.
Yeah, so it seems these new users weren't just window shopping. They were actually, taking those steps we care about.
What's really interesting is how clearly this seems linked to the CPC traffic.
Right, it's not like everything went up across the board. The data really spotlights the effect of that focused 500 EUR investment.
Okay, so we've got more users, specifically from CPC, and they seem to be more engaged, doing more key things, established. But the big question, efficiency. Was it worth 500 EUR? Let's talk cost. What did each click actually cost us?
The report gives us that. The cost per click, the CPC metric itself, was 0.77 EUR.
77 euro cents per click.
Yep, that's the average price for each click on those ads.
Okay, useful number, but maybe not the whole story.
Right, because a click isn't the end goal. We want those key events. So the next step is figuring out the cost per key event for this specific traffic.
Makes sense. What does it cost to get one of those valuable actions from someone who clicked an ad?
And the report calculates that too. The cost per key event, specifically for users starting with CPC, came out to 21.74 EUR.
Okay, so let's say roughly 22 euros spent on clicks resulted in one key event.
That's the figure, yeah. Around 21.74 EUR per key event generated from that CPC spend.
So if we loop back to our mission, understanding the return on that 500 EUR, these numbers are pretty critical.
Absolutely. 0.77 EUR per click, 21.74 EUR per key event. That helps you judge if this is a sustainable way to get engaged users.
The report also touched on trends, didn't it? Like looking across the whole period.
It did. It mentioned that while there were probably daily ups and downs, the overall trend for new users coming from CPC was upward throughout that April 13th to May 14th period, especially when you compare it week by week to the previous period.
So it wasn't just like one good week that skewed the average.
Doesn't seem like it. It suggests a more consistent positive effect throughout the month or so.
That's encouraging. Suggests whatever was working, keywords, ad copy, whatever, kept working.
Exactly. It points towards some level of sustained effectiveness.
Okay, let's pull this all together then. If we summarize the findings from this deep dive into the Google Ads report, what are the main headlines?
I think the big picture is definitely one of strong positive growth in that April-May window we looked at.
Yeah, clearly.
More active users overall, a really noticeable surge in new users coming specifically from those paid clicks.
And importantly, more key events from those users too.
Right, a big jump in those valuable actions performed by the people the CPC ads brought in.
And it feels pretty clear, looking at the data, that this growth wasn't just random. It was, well, significantly pushed by that 500 EUR budget aimed at CPC.
Yeah, the advertising seems to have played a very direct, measurable role. It wasn't just background noise.
And then the efficiency numbers to back it up.
Right. To put numbers on it again, roughly 647 new users came in at an average cost of about 77 cents each.
Okay.
And those users generated 23 key events, with each event costing around 21.74 EUR in ad spend.
So when you look at it that way, it seems like that 500 EUR was pretty effectively used during this specific time frame.
Yeah, I'd say the data suggests a relatively efficient use of that budget. It succeeded in, driving both new user numbers and getting them to take those valuable next steps.
A clear, measurable, positive impact.
Within this analyzed period, yes, the focused CPC spend definitely delivered results we could see in the numbers.
So it makes you think, doesn't it? If these are the results, the cost per user, cost per action, what's the next question you'd ask?
Good point.
Like, how could we refine this? Could we maybe get that cost per key event down even further? Or what happens to these users after this period? Do they stick around long term?
Exactly. Or should we scale it? Does doubling the budget double the results, or do costs go up? There's always another layer, isn't there? Something else to dig into based on